Hi everyone! Today I thought I would share a video showing you the new soft pastels assortment from Stampin' Up. Now it's always fun when Stampin' Up comes out with new coloring mediums, and of course I had to put this on my first order. And many of you might remember some of the pastels that Stampin' Up sold in the past. And this is one of them. This is really old. And you got this palette of pastels and they were in squares. And you can see how old it is based on some of these old colors, like who remembers Yo-Yo Yellow? And I don't remember what that orange was. Was it Only Orange? Green Galore? That kind of thing. Anyway, old pastels. And these were used with a sponge dauber, or you could use your blender pens, things like that to add color. Now the new pastels are in stick form. And they're kind of nice because that palette that I just showed you was a big palette, and it was more expensive because it was carrying all of our colors, and so it was a little bit pricey, and some people might not have decided to add that to their collection. However, this is a smaller assortment, and that's kind of nice because then you've got a smaller price point and it just gives you a little fun option without having to buy every color. This is just a small assortment. And it's just $9. It's easy to miss in the catalog because they don't share it a lot, I have to say. I just found it here on the assortments page, page 126 in the US catalog, and it just kind of shows you here with the other coloring mediums. Like we have watercolor pencils, and here they are, the soft pastels assortment. Now the colors here are, I'll show you, Daffodil Delight. This is Mango Melody. Now here it doesn't look that different from Daffodil Delight, but when you use it, it does look different. Poppy Parade, Gorgeous Grape, Mossy Meadow, Coastal Cabana, Granny Apple Green, and they are calling this Night of Navy. Now I have to say, it's not super navy. I think it would look really good. Like here it looks Pacific Point, doesn't it? But when you put it on a project, it's not quite as vibrant, and it looks maybe Misty Moonlight even. So I think you can actually use this with a variety of your blues. And then depending upon how soft you use or how heavy-handed you are with the pastels, you can actually use this with lots of colors. Some of these yellows can be blended down into a lighter So Saffron, for example. So I thought I would share one way to use the pastels, and I actually played around with them and made quite a variety, but I thought I'll do them, instead of doing one video that shows all the ways to use it, I thought I would make smaller, shorter videos, and that way you're not having to fast forward or rewind a lot to see one particular thing. So for the first video, I'm going to show how to use the pastels just as a background, and here I've used it for a nice little sky and water. I'm pairing it with the Sailing Home stamp set, which looks like this, and I want to show you a couple techniques to keep from, it's a masking technique, to keep the pastels away from the areas you don't want the chalk to go. Okay, so let's make this card. It's actually quite fast. So I'm using a piece of basic white. This is cut 3 3/4 by 5, and I might have to trim it down, we'll have to see. And then I'm just going to stamp both boats. In that set there are 2 sizes. I'm going to go with both. In the foreground, I'm going to put the larger boat, as it's closer to us, and then I'll put the smaller boat as if it's further away. Okay, and now I'm also going to stamp them again on a piece of Post-it note. Now I found these Post-it notes that are sticky across the whole thing. You know how normally they're just sticky at the top? So if you happen to have ones that are only sticky at the top, that's okay. You can just, use only the top for stamping. However, this one is the whole thing, so I don't have to be as careful where I stamp. Okay, you're just going to cut these out, but you're only going to cut out the parts that you want to shield from the pastels. So I'm just going to cut out the sails. place it right on top of where that sail is. Okay, so I've covered my boats. I'm also going to punch out a circle. If you have a die circle cutter or a punch, either one's fine. This is a 3/4 inch circle, but you can use, if you have a 1/2 inch, that's perfectly great too. Okay, so what we're going to do to color this background is we're going to just use the pastels directly to the paper. Now, they are a little messy because your fingers are going to get on them, but have a little paper towel handy to just kind of rub your fingers on when you need to, and don't stress about it too much. So now I'm going to kind of make a horizon line for myself, just to kind of help me know where I want my horizon to start. So I've just kind of done that, and then I'm going to just kind of make some darker areas. You know how water has ripples of darks and lights, and even though we're going to blend this out, the areas where I'm heavily pressing are going to still stay darker. So I'm going to go under the boats and kind of trail off, and if you wanted to add some more, you could. Like that. Okay, really simple little addition of your blue. And then you're going to take a sponge dauber, or you know, if you don't have a sponge dauber, Q-tip even will work, and you're just going to spread this out. And you want to get in the areas, in these little areas, because that's going to help really sell the, when you pull this Post-it note off, that white is really going to shine through if you really get in there. Okay, so now I've gotten it smeared out. See how the areas where I touched directly to the paper are darker. Now if you want to add more color, you can. Now is the time to do that. And then if you want to smear it again, you can, or you can also leave those strokes right there. Now it is making a mess, and you might wonder, okay, what do I do? How do I send this in the mail? It's going to make a mess. Actually, the one I did before, once you're kind of done, just wipe this away. The areas that you smeared into the paper, they are not going to smear again. See, they're done. You don't really need to spray this with a fixative. That's a question that someone asked. Okay, so I do have a mess here, so take your paper towel and just kind of spread it away, because these little bits of chalk could get into your yellows, and then you'll end up with a green sky, and we don't want a green sky. Okay, now we're going to move in with the Poppy Parade. Okay, and we're just going to get really close to that blue. But again, we're not trying to mix these colors because I don't want purple. So, and we have a purple. So I'm trying to just get right up close to it, but I'm not mixing them. And try to get in that little areas if you have them. Okay, and then I'm going to go with the Mango Melody. And I have to say, this is not screaming Mango Melody at me. It looks a little more yellow. It's more Bumblebee. And then the Daffodil Delight. I'm going to kind of finish off our sky. Okay, now I'm going to take another sponge dauber and I'm going to start at my yellows because they're lighter and work my way down. Now I'm kind of going back and forth because I like the lines in the sky. Kind of reminds me of like lines of clouds a little bit. So I'm going back and forth. And some of those lines, if I'm not going too heavy, will still show through even after I've blended them out. So I like that. And then when I get to the poppy, I'm just kind of gonna, and I'm gonna be careful in here not to rub too hard because I don't want to move my post-it note. I just noticed I forgot to do something. I forgot to add my circle. And that's a bummer because I can't add it at this point. I was going to add it right here. You can see it on this one. There's that circle. Alright, maybe I'll have to do another one really fast motion. Okay, I'm going to add my sun here, or my sinking sun, my setting sun. I didn't want it to be smack dab in the middle, but kind of in the middle. Okay, so now's when you put that down. And whoever gets this one isn't going to know that I intended to have a sun there, so that's okay. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add that poppy. Alright, now I'm just going to smooth out. This is where I stopped off on my last card. Alright, so we're just going to smooth out. When you get close to your boats, careful that you don't peel away your post-it. And again, you're going back and forth because you like these little lines that you see in the sky. And do try to get in those little areas. So be careful next to your boat, but you do in fact want to get up next to your boat. Okay, now you might want to go in after you smeared that and add some more of those lines because they're kind of fun. You can add, some deeper lines in your sky if you choose. And then, if you need to, get in there. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm going to clean off my hands. Okay, move my chalks away. I should have picked these up before cleaning my hands. Now, when we're peeling away our post-it notes, you can use these on maybe 2 projects, but after that they start to get dusty and then they don't stick anymore. So I think maybe this is my 3rd on some of these pieces. There, I love that little sun. You could, if you were intending, if you were very careful, you could leave white bits Actually, you could use little strips of Post-it note, little white strips, so that your sun would have a reflection too. Anyway, that is my little background. And then you just want to build up a card around it. Now, I'm grabbing, this is Misty Moonlight, so I'm going to grab that. And then I want a little frame around my little art piece here, so I'm going to use, on this one, I'm going to use these stitched rectangle Framelit dies. I love these. I think they're kind of a staple. So I'm going to grab the biggest one, and then the third biggest. Third from biggest. 2 down from the biggest. Oh, that's funny. Okay, and I'm going to make a frame like this. And I'm going to do that in black because I think my setting sun will look nice against the black. So let me do that, and I will return momentarily. Before I run them through, I thought I would show you that I tape them down with washi tape, perfectly spaced around so that I get a nice even frame. Now let's see if I need to cut this down at all. I think I'll trim it just a tiny hair at the top because it's just peeking through. Okay, let's put it all together. Now you can choose to pop your frame up if you like. I'm going to go flat on this one. Okay, and then I just wanted to add a little sentiment at the top. I think this looks like a peaceful little serene scene, so I was thinking maybe a thinking of you. That'd be nice for a retirement card, something like that, but the stamp set Sailing Home does not have what I wanted, so I looked through my collection, and I have so many stamps. I had tons that had thinking with you, so I bet you have a lot of thinking with you too. This would be good for any reason, really, but in my head I wanted a thinking of you, so I grabbed, I've got sticky Post-it notes everywhere. I grabbed Beauty of Friendship, and I'm going to take Thinking of You. And I always have these little strips of leftover papers in my cardstock packs, don't you? So I'm just going to grab one and use that. See if I can stamp this without putting my head under the camera. It's tilting up a bit. I might have to put my head under the camera here. Better. Did I do the wrong one? I don't know. We'll see. Okay, I'll fast forward and silent the microphone when I heat this up because it's kind of loud. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little flag end here. And I think you saw I put down a little linen thread bow. Do I want to trim off some of this? And I'm going to go right over the top of that bow. All right, there it is. What do you think? Are you going to try these pastels? They're kind of fun. Here's another one that I did. This is a different frame. This is from the Color and Contour bundle. Super fun. And I thought I had one more that I wanted to show you. I thought it would be fun to add black on top of the boats. Didn't quite turn out the way I wanted here, but maybe you could do black. I was thinking maybe some stems. You could do some kind of a meadow scene with some, you know, like a silhouette of some stems from the wild meadow. So think of different ways you can use this background and other ways you can make backgrounds with these soft pastels. They're really fun. I'm going to show you coming up a video where we're going to do an old school poppin' pastels technique with the pastels. And also something you may not know is that you can actually use your aqua painters and blender pens with the pastels. So that'll be fun. And you can even paint with them on black paper. So that is an interesting look as well. So I'll do some videos on that later today or tomorrow, and I hope that you'll join me. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!